From a childhood dream sketched at the age of 6 to a real-life challenge decades later, I finally decided to turn my bathtub into a seaworthy vessel and attempt an unforgettable journey across the Atlantic, carefully planned and supervised by engineers and marine safety experts. Against expectations, the tub floated, and with a short weather window, I launched from the farthest tip of mainland Britain toward the remote Isles of Scilly, facing powerful waves, rocky coastlines, busy shipping lanes, and unpredictable conditions, where even the first few hundred meters proved to be the toughest as waves crashed around me. But once past the rocks, the sea began to calm, allowing time to reflect on why I started this adventure in the first place: to reconnect with the fearless, imaginative child inside me, to embrace fun, creativity, and a bit of harmless silliness, and to remind myself that the ideas that once brought joy are still worth chasing, making the journey not just a physical challenge but an emotional and deeply personal experience. Just as I started to feel confident, those famous last words came back to haunt me when the steering suddenly failed and a crucial part of the tiller came loose, leaving me struggling to control the bathtub in open water. It was a serious moment, but with a quick improvised fix and the safety team standing by only to observe, I carried on alone, relying entirely on a compass to guide me southwest toward the tiny Isles of Scilly across a vast stretch of ocean, knowing I had a tight deadline to arrive in time for a planned community celebration, adding pressure to an already unpredictable journey. And while the sea remained calm for a while and my spirits stayed high, filled with jokes, reflections, and cautious optimism, even small mistakes like pressing the wrong button and sending an accidental distress signal reminded everyone how unusual and risky this challenge was, leaving onlookers both amused and amazed that what began as a laughable idea was somehow turning into a real, unfolding adventure. Moving slowly against the tide in nothing more than a bathtub, I crossed a busy shipping lane hundreds of feet above deep water, tried my luck with some fishing to pass the time, and narrowly avoided massive cargo ships whose powerful wakes reminded me just how small and vulnerable I was out there. Staying alert was critical as I pushed through real danger, managed basic needs as discreetly and safely as possible, and kept myself hydrated and focused, knowing I had a strict deadline to reach the Isles on time. But as the hours dragged on with no land in sight, exhaustion, exposure, and doubt began to set in, until just when my energy and morale were at their lowest, a much-needed moment of encouragement appeared on the horizon, giving me the belief to keep going and trust that my heading and the whole ridiculous adventure was still on course. Spotting land at last felt unreal as the Isles finally appeared on the horizon, proving the compass had done its job. But just when success seemed guaranteed, the engine suddenly lost power and cut out completely, forcing me to troubleshoot alone while still miles from shore. Despite panic, fatigue, and even trying to paddle unsuccessfully as the current pushed me backward, I refused to give up, and after one final check I discovered a loose fuel line, reconnected it, and brought the engine back to life, turning frustration into relief as the bath-powered vessel surged forward again, allowing me to complete the final careful approach through shallow waters and into the harbor after 7 long hours at sea, exhausted but victorious, having pushed through setbacks, doubt, and pure stubborn determination to finally reach my destination and make the entire ridiculous journey worth it. Completely exhausted and desperate for the journey to end, I was overwhelmed with relief and excitement as I approached the harbor and was greeted by a small flotilla of boats and cheering faces, a sign that word of the adventure had spread while I was at sea. Surrounded by new friends and support, the reality finally hit that I had actually made it to the Isles of Scilly, turning a childhood drawing into a real achievement. And as I stepped out of the bathtub onto solid ground after hours on the ocean, I felt grateful to everyone who supported the journey and believed in the power of harmless silliness, celebrating the success at Silly Fest, sharing laughs with the community, and leaving behind the bathtub now named Billy as a symbol of creativity, perseverance, and the idea that chasing imaginative dreams, no matter how ridiculous they seem, can truly come full circle.